Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to change the fork seals on a KYB fork set for a Wr450 2012-2015. These forks are also used on other bikes, so just be aware of that, and it's probably similar to other forks themselves, so you can use this video as reference. First, I'm going to show you how to recover your fork seals using a recovery tools to possibly recover the fork seals and avoid having to change them. Okay, to save your seals, what you'll need is a screwdriver of some sort, flathead blade, a seal mate, and a Rhino from Risk Racing. This thing pops off and it can be used to get up and around the fork seal. Let me show you what you need to do first. Oh, you'll also need some suspension cleaner. So you need to start by removing your fork covers. You then place your flathead screwdriver between the seal and the fork, and you gently pop it down. You move the seal down out of the way, and then you get your Rhino tool from Risk Racing, you clip it on the forks, and you push it up, round. You should see some oil start to seep out. You want to do that till you start seeing the oil come out smooth and cleanly and with no dirt and debris in it. You then get your seal mate and do the same thing all the way around. Again, looking for any dirt and debris, make sure you clean it all up. Then you give your seal a spray, give it a wipe down, and then you pop your seal back on like that, making sure it seats all the way around. Okay, there you go, that's how you can recover your fork seals. I managed to recover mine about, I think it was 5 times, doing that over and over again, but after a while your fork seals get knackered and you just can't cope with it. So what you need to do then is change your fork seals. So this is what I'm going to go ahead and do now. I'm going to talk you through how I'm going to change my fork seals. I've never done it before, so please be aware of that. So what I'm going to need to do first is remove this front wheel and then remove each fork leg from the bike itself. Before you hoist the bike up, you need to crack off all your bolts, like these bolts on each side. Your actual axle bolt, make sure that's nice and loose. You need to crack off these bolts and these bolts. Now I'm going to remove the axle nut. These should have already been loosed off before you lift the bike up. You can do it when it's up, but you might struggle, but these need to be loosened off as well. Get a mallet and tap that through. Once it's out, pull the axle through and let the wheel fall down. Make sure you move the speedo sensor out of the way so you don't rip it out of its connector. Go ahead and continue to feed the caliper bracket bolts out. Remove them completely and let the caliper dangle out of the way. Now you need to loosen off these fully to allow the fork to slide out. So you now need to remove one fork at a time from the actual bike itself. These do need some persuasion, but once these bolts are undone and you start getting it down, it should start becoming easier. Just work it and work it, try and twist it as you go, and it should be all right. So once you've got your fork in position, you want to keep it on some sort of clean surface at the end of the day. Suspension is one of those things you have to keep extra clean. Understanding most people won't have a super clean garage, but try your best, put some sort of rag down. First thing you need to do is loosen off the fork cap. Oh, fuck, I should have kept it in the bike. So what you do is you undo the fork cap and then you empty the oil, or what's left of it, into a container. Oh, look at that. Lovely. Then we're gonna put the fork cap back on temporarily once the oil's been removed. Next step, you need to clamp the lower section of the fork in a vise or a soft jaw vise. If you have a soft jaw, obviously that would be better. Now I'm going to loosen off the rebound bolt rod all the way to there, and that will allow easy removal. So now I'm going to remove the centre bolt from the lower fork leg. There you go. And then I'm going to push the fork leg. We're going to hold the bottom dampening rod with a fork cap wrench. Okay, so you've got to crack off your dampening rod, which I've already done. You loosen it off, the nut from the dampening rod, and you remove the rod itself. I don't think they have a front and back, but I wouldn't chance it, so make sure you know which end goes in which end. Now you need to remove your actual dust seal itself. Nice flathead, something thinner than a big screwdriver would be better, but that's all I've got at the moment. And then there's a clip on the inside which you've got to pop out. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the fork from the clamp, the vise, sorry. Place it on the floor, make sure you've got something soft for it to place onto, and then remove the fork cap once more. So I've just removed the inner fork section, which is attached to the fork cap. To get the spring out, you need to just tip it upside down, and the spring should fall out, the fork spring should fall out. With a load of oil, so just be aware of that. Okay, so I've got everything laid out. I've got my spring out. I've got my spring spring guide, I think that is. I've got the bolt for the bottom of the fork. I've got the compression rod. I have the fork itself, and I'm about to pop the seals out of this section here. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your fork on a bench, and you're going to find where it hits the top. You're going to give it a nice firm hit just to knock it through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the bushings with my fingernails slowly, and then I'm going to place them to one side, and so I know which direction they all came off. Should be a slit in the bushings as well. I'm also going to remove the dust seal and the inner retaining clip. See, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head and clean all the parts. I do have my replacement parts here, my bushings and my seals, so I will be replacing these ones here in order with their counterparts from this box here and the seals there. So I've gone ahead and replaced all my seals and bushings, and I've also cleaned up everything and replaced any seals like that one and those ones, that copper washer, that I could find. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all of the bushings on here and put the seals on as well. It's important to make sure they go the right way up, so just bear that in mind when installing them. Okay.
I went to rock it out of gear, my gear shift was doing nothing.
Okay, so everything's on, all the seals are on, the retaining clip, the washers and the bushings. I had to use my seal mate to get over the lip of the actual fork itself. That was due to the fact that I didn't have the fork cap retained, it's like a slide cap to stop it from catching on here. It seems to have gone on right. I don't recommend using this. I recommend actually getting the part, the thing that slides over the top, the cap, to slide the seals on. But it does work if you need to, if you have one of these. If not, I know thin bit of plastic will do the same, but again, just be careful with your fork seals. You don't want to cut them because that would defeat the object of getting new ones in the first place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fork seal, the outer fork itself, and slide it over the top. And then I'm going to lower the actual dust seal and get our fork driver against the washer. So we're going to drive the washers and the bushings in as well. So now I'm going to slide the seal up into position, the dust seal. Yeah, no, sorry, the seal itself. Place it in there nicely. And then again, place the seal driver over the top. Like this. Hold it in place. And just give the end of the foot a good smack. Okay, I'm going to take the seal driver off once more. Once you get a nice positive thump, you're then going to get the retaining clip. We're going to push that up in there. Start it with your fingers, and once it's in, just give it a tap with this just to make sure it's in place. Only a tap, and then it should see it. You should see it sitting the fork itself. And then you're going to go up and you're going to place your dust seal. Just push it in with your fingers, nice and positive all the way around. Okay, you're going to crack off the centre part of the fork from the fork cap itself. So I'm going to take the inner fork assembly out. It's quite a seal on it, and then I'm going to dump out all the oil. Okay, so over my drainage bin I pumped this, the retaining rod, to make sure everything else, all the oil came out at the end of here. You can hear it clogging there. There's nothing else left in there now. So it actually says for my fork it is 200 milliliters of oil for the top section of the fork, the inner section. Let me just top that up to there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend the damper rod fully till it hits the bottoms out. Then I'm going to place it on a clean rag. And I'm going to pour in my 200 milliliters of oil. And then to make sure there's no air, I'm going to raise the damping rod slowly and then back down again. You'll feel it start to get tighter as less air is in the system. And then with the damping rod fully extended, I'm going to place this section of the fork back in. We'll take a pop to get past the seals. So you will feel some resistance when doing up this fork cap, and you've got to push down quite hard till it threads in. There we go. Gonna do it up till it's good and tight. It's a little nip, not a lot. Okay, and then we're gonna push this damper rod back up fully all the way and make sure it extends by itself, just to make sure it's in proper working order. So we're now going to install the cartridge into the fork itself, starting with the spring. Then you're going to place the fork cartridge itself inside of the fork. Then we're going to screw the outer fork cap down, not tight yet, just down. Then you're going to place the fork back in the vise. So I'm going to put the rod back in. Okay, I'm going to screw this on by hand till it bottoms out. Then I'm going to bring the lock nut up to this, and then just give it a nice little nip. I'm going to remove this and then lower it in and guide it into the hole so it doesn't catch anywhere. Then I'm going to go tighten this up. So again, a little nip. Now I'm going to tighten the dampening rod to three full turns, because that's what it was set for me before. 3. If you're unsure what your dampening rod was set to and you want to keep it the same, check on your other fork to make sure, and that way you'll know exactly. So now I'm going to remove it from the vise. So yes, I'm going to undo the cap and then fill the outer section of the fork up with oil. Okay, so the amount of oil I need is 328 milliliters, so I'm going to aim for about 330, just to be more realistic. Then lower the outer section of the fork down a little bit and pour the oil into the side. And then do back up the fork cap. Then you're going to nip it up. You'll struggle to nip it up like this, so I'd wait till you get back on the bike and just give it one good little nip, and you should be good to go. Now you've got to repeat the same thing with the second fork, and that's it. You're all done. Your fork seals and oils are changed. If I've missed anything in this video, I've tried my best to be as informative as possible, but there you go. That is your fork seal ready and completed to go back on the bike. So now go rip a massive oilie and blow them again. Have fun. See you soon.